So it has been a while since I've had my beautiful oats, overnight oats with berries. Last year, at some point last year, I got into, actually my sisters got me into the information about glucose and how we have these sugar spikes and how we're not supposed to have too much sugar or not first thing in the morning anyways. So that's why having oats with berries, that wasn't the perfect way to start the day. So I switched to savory breakfast, and I had savory breakfast, mainly eggs on beans and with veggies, and that was my breakfast for a long time, and I do like it, but I guess I've been kind of just struggling a bit since then with my diet, because this kind of very savory oriented diet has left me a lot with sugar cravings, and I feel like I have been snacking a lot on like biscuits and sweets, mainly chocolate, dark chocolate. I've been just remembering how before I made this switch, I actually felt really, really good in my body. I felt full of energy, and I wasn't snacking. I didn't feel a need for snacking between meals because I was getting the natural sugar in my meals. You know, another thing I kind of cut out was my green smoothie because that also felt like it was too sugary with a banana and an apple and some dates in it on top of spinach and avocado and cucumber and other other good green things. So I cut that out as well. But but I'm kind of questioning the validity of that change for my body, because I haven't really been feeling that great. I feel like I have been putting on a bit of weight and feeling less energy in my body, and just and having that kind of having those cravings for sugar during the day and different times of the day, which I didn't have before. So I feel like maybe I need to listen to my body here and maybe switch back to those, having all that fruit in my daily diet, in order to just compare and see, do I actually really feel better with that? Because I do remember feeling better, being lighter weight-wise as well, and just thriving a lot more on that kind of diet. So welcome back. My favorite overnight oats with my decaf coffee, cappuccino style, made at home. Cheers. So there is something else I wanted to share with you, tell you about an experience that is, in a way, sort of baffling. I think Rosie wants to jump on the couch, but she's thinking about it. So let's see how she goes. I find it really funny when there's this tail walking around in the frame. Oh, there she goes. Hello, Puss Puss. What do you desire? So she's got her blanket here on top of the couch, where she can spend some time, sit here, be comfortable, and check out on the neighborhood. See what everybody's doing, what everybody's up to. I must admit that I haven't experienced a whole lot of grief in my life. I've lost some people to death over the years, but not many, and these were family members that at that point of my life, when they passed away, I was no longer that close to. So it did cause sadness, definitely, but it just didn't cause grief. And then, while being out in the world and meeting people, making friendships and dating, I did lose some people to breakups, like romantic breakups, or even friends moved on or left my life. But it was never to death. It was always this kind of closure experience where it was just the right thing to do, to move on. And that was fine. That was just what it was. So to say that I don't have a lot of experience with grief would be fairly fair, I'd say. What do you think, Puss Puss? What about your experiences with grief? You probably didn't have any, because you live a very happy life. So the events of the last month have been just a little bit confusing and baffling to me. So it all started almost a month ago or thereabouts with a dream. I was dreaming about being back in Ireland, not as my present time self, but as my much, much younger self when I first arrived to Ireland 20 years ago. So that's what I was dreaming about. I was back in Ireland, back in Youghal. Youghal is a little town in County Cork. And I was dreaming about different people that I met there and that I became friends with. That first dream was actually really baffling because it left me grieving for my time in Ireland and for those people that I met there. And so I needed to unpack it. I needed to understand what was happening because, like the initial reaction was to just jump online and to search for those people. And I am still in touch with some of them, but not all of them. But the thing is, I wasn't able to find all the people, and particularly one person that I was dreaming about. And so that caused me a lot of anxiety because I was wondering, is there something happening? Is there something wrong? Is that some kind of psychic dream where he's in deep trouble and and I should reach out to him or something like that? But then I thought, okay, well, I'm not in Ireland. I'm on the other side of the world, and there isn't really much I can do anyways. So instead, I thought, okay, what makes sense is maybe to process this dream and to discuss it with someone. So one of my friends is a psychotherapist, so our discussions are always very rich and very, very exciting in terms of going deep, the true, deep and meaningful conversations. So I had a chat with him about that, and he helped me to understand that it wasn't so much about this person or these particular people that were showing up in my dreams. The feeling or the experience I'm having that the dream is kind of bringing to my attention is that I have a lot of accumulated grief over all the people and places that I have left behind throughout my life. I've moved quite a lot. I was born and raised in Poland, and I then moved away to go to university. I moved to a different city. After that, after university, I left Poland altogether because I just couldn't see myself ever being happy or fulfilled or satisfied with my life in Poland because of the economical reasons. So I moved to Ireland and I lived there for 4 years before coming over to Australia. But something that I am really coming to understand about myself is that I have such high level of excitement about novelty and about doing new things, so every time I move or make a change in my life, there is such high level of excitement about it that I kind of almost throw myself into this new excitement or a new experience, new adventure, and I don't give myself time to process the grief or the sadness of leaving behind whatever I am leaving behind, a place, people, the life that I could have, would have had I stayed. Because this is actually what I was feeling. I actually cried when I was talking to my friend about this. You know, I was crying and I just said to him, look, I have no idea what my life would have been like. You know, there is a whole like parallel life that I could have lived if I stayed in Ireland. And so there's that sense of, you know, there's a whole life that I feel like I've never grieved, you know, on top of the fact that there are real people there that I met, that I was close to, that I loved and cherished, you know, having in my life, and places that I really enjoyed being in. Ireland is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. To kind of realize that I might never see these people again or never come back to certain spots. And I mean, I had that amazing trip to Ireland in 2023, where I went actually to those two towns in Ireland, to Youghal and to Cove, to go back and to revisit places where I used to live, and that was amazing. But I feel like there's a lot more of that accumulated grief that I never really processed properly, and I'm feeling like Ireland is sort of calling me, and that I need to sit with my deep, complicated feelings about everything that I left behind when I decided to no longer live in Ireland. I have since decided that I need to go back to Europe this year, and that I've been away now. I've been back here in Australia for a year and a half since I returned from Europe in September 2023. And so it's time to go back again to visit my family, but also to spend a bit of time in Ireland and actually sit with those feelings again, catch up with the people, whoever I can. I've been reaching out now to different people, and I'm in touch with, you know, a few of my friends there, so I definitely want to see them. And I feel like that will be helpful, maybe to bringing more of a closure or more of a resolution to that grief I'm feeling. Because here's the thing, grief is such a tricky, complicated, difficult emotion, because like when you're in it, it feels like it will never go away, but you have to keep on living, you have to keep on doing things, you have to keep on doing life and believing that you will move on from it, that this is not just the rest of your life now spent in tears and in grief over the people you've left and places and opportunities that are now behind you. And my rational brain and everything I know about human nature and psychology and, you know, emotions, etc., you know, like everything is telling me this will pass, you know, like sit with it, process it, this is important. Don't just push it away, don't just reject it. I also need to acknowledge that maybe I am just a little too fast when it comes to making changes, and while I am so busy with the next exciting thing that I'm organizing and doing in my life, I am kind of forgetting to look back and to process the sadness or the grief that is there in me, in my heart. Like I am feeling it right now. That's why it's coming up to the surface, because I have not been processing it over the years, because I haven't been giving it the kind of time that it needs. So I am very excited to think that I will be there this year, later this year, and that I will definitely see. I'll do my best to see different people. But since grief is such a common human emotion, and many of us have had a lot more grief than others to deal with, if you have been touched by grief in your life, let me know what you found helpful and how you learned to deal with it, how you managed to process it, what was good and positive for you on that journey of dealing with your grief. I would really appreciate that.